Welcome to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki, where inspiration meets action. This is your spot to grow, level up, and lead with fresh ideas. From sales to service, from frontline teams to executives, we're dropping weekly knowledge and insight to keep your store sharp, relevant, and profitable. Let's get into it. Welcome back, guys. Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. I'm your host, and I'm going to drill into one of the biggest operational shifts in dealership right now. And it's not just fixed, it's also our front end of the dealership. You're going to see a lot of AI and you're going to see a lot of voice AI. But for me, I'm very excited to have my guest, Rich Sands, the CEO of Stella AI, with us today, because at least 2 years ago, Stella was one of our sponsors, and I have been an advocate. I have been following them in dealerships. And I was really excited to talk to Rich earlier because, they are the OG of voice AI, in my opinion, in automotive. And I've watched them go through so many different hurdles. Having an AI company has got to be very demanding, very difficult, especially being originator. But their company has evolved. I'll let Rich jump into any of that he wants to tell you about. But I'll tell you, it's a new company. It is growing. They are handling both sides of the dealership. They have a lot of neat things going on. But I really don't want this to be a vendor pitch. I really want this to be learning about some of the early mistakes and integration challenges. I want to hear that human side of AI. I want to hear more about the systems and all of these things that exist behind it for us to succeed in automotive. And there's going to be some next big breakthroughs, I'm sure. Rich, thank you so much for coming in and spending your afternoon with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks, Jen, so much. And congrats on a fantastic podcast. I know a lot of people follow you and look to you for the future on where's the market going, what are the key trends. But thrilled to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Let's talk a little voice AI. It's been around for a little bit in automotive, 2 years, I would say, but it's probably longer. Well, gosh, maybe it's been 3. But from your vantage point, what have been the biggest stumbling blocks that you've seen now with Stella since maybe when they first started and deploying that voice AI in the service departments?
Sure. Well, thanks. I mean, I agree. I think we are the OG, the original voice AI experts in this space. Some of the major challenges, though, are really you look across society and society's ability to adopt and adapt to new technology. And early on, like 3 years ago, watching what was happening in the medical field or in the insurance field, you weren't seeing high adoption and people willing to communicate verbally through an AI platform. So you're basically talking to a digital assistant. It sounds like a robot. It sounds like a machine. 000, get me to a person. I want out of here as fast as I can. And what's happened here is the AI has developed so quickly, but it's really introduced new concepts like semantics and tone and the ability to understand end of thought detection, end of speech detection. And so the underlying technology has gotten so good that we are thrilled to see where we are going forward in the future, and that we've built a platform here that can handle all different types of dialects, different languages, all across the United States and Canada, and it's built from the guest perspective. So this is built from you and I calling a dealership and what type of experience we would like to have.
Well, I think that's what what I've noticed is that people, when I listen to the recorded calls anyway, I notice that people are now more willing to, or even enjoy talking to voice AI. You're not trying to sound human because we're not trying to fool people. Right. You know what it is, but I do hear some of the errors like latency that can be the dead giveaway, or sure. Some of the little noise hiccups it makes, when there's delay or in between, statements and things like this. And all this seems to be continuing to iron itself out. Definitely you see an improvement in adoption from the customer that's calling in. I feel like they are more willing to engage, and that many people really want to use it. And just curious from your perspective, what would you say when people call in that they're more willing, the percentage? Do you know this offhand? I'm catching you off guard, okay? But I just you sparked this idea, and I thought I have noticed so many people more interested in engaging versus talking to a human.
Sure. Well, first of all, that's why you said the new Stella. That's why we reinvented ourselves this year. We built our all new technology from the ground up. We use best in class external AI capabilities when and where needed, but then we marry that with our own internal proprietary AI platform,
Mm,
particularly with everything that has to do with integrating with dealerships and their systems. So, from a quick backstory was when people call the dealership, you experience things like you mentioned, latency or long delays between statements, and
mhm,
sometimes there was talking on top of you, or they would say the wrong things. In our world at Stella, we've perfected that. Those days are gone. There is
mhm,
no more latency. There are no more choppiness to the flow of the conversation. We always introduce Stella as a digital assistant.
mhm,
If someone does want to speak with a human, we give them a very easy off-road, off path where they can speak with a human immediately. There's no delay. But what we're seeing in terms of stats is number one, 83% of all customers who contact a dealership through a phone call. And
mhm,
typically that's from their car. So there's
mm,
background noise, there's usually a check engine light, or they're in their car and they're thinking about what they need to do. So we're seeing 83% of all calls or in contact to a dealership comes through a phone call. And this was the
mm.
challenge of a dealership is they didn't have enough people to staff these phone calls, particularly
Right.
during the high spike windows that we see in
Peak
certain days
hours.
of the week. Peak hours,
Mhm,
exactly. So having an AI assistant to be able to offload that workload from the human is fantastic. The key is getting the conversation right, and that's where
right.
the OG we fear we have perfected that skill set, and now we have a platform in the market right now getting incredible traction with dealers that are listening to this and guests that are providing feedback. So here's another stat. So 3 years ago when we first started, the typical AI voice AI platform was booking somewhere around 30% of all available calls we were able to book, and then we had to hand the rest off to human. Now
Mhm.
at Scala, we're over 80% booking all calls from human.
Wow.
So that's a massive increase in the ability for the AI to understand and infer what the guest is looking for, how to handle that request, how to book the appointment, how to answer questions, or even move them to sales or handle a test drive appointment. So whether it's sales or service or F&I, parts, warranty, recall,
Mhm,
declined services, the AI now knows this and is able to address what the guest needs. And I think at the end of the day, the hesitation in society from using AI is because they figured then that a human can get what they wanted faster. And now what we see is the AI can
mm,
get them what they want faster. And we have calls I was just listening to this morning, in fact, of customers that called into a store, asked to transfer to a person, they got transferred to a person, and they said,
mhm.
"Oh my God, no, please transfer me back to Stella. I want to go back and talk to the AI." And so
Really?
you're
That's
seeing a radical shift because the
that.
AI moves fast and efficient. And here's another
Mm,
stat. A typical human books an appointment in between 5 to 9 minutes. The average
okay.
is actually 7 to 9 minutes, depending on the phone system. But we book in under 2 minutes, typically a
Mm,
minute 20. So that's incredibly fast because
wow.
we pick up first ring, we know who's calling, we know what to do. We have direct two-way read-write access into the dealership systems, and
Mhm,
so you get the task accomplished very quickly. And
mhm.
guests love that. So that's really what we're out about is a phenomenal guest experience using state-of-the-art technology and providing real measurable ROI back to the dealer.
So, what do you attribute that to when you say an average is 7 to 9 on a human, but less than 2 with AI? Is so? My immediate thought is on this because I'm all about that customer experience. Is that maybe sometimes, and it's probably systems where you're not accessing information very quickly. But I find sometimes, like the store I worked at last week, they had the longest calls I've ever seen in my career. And I'm listening to them, and I said, "You guys are not efficient. Like literally, you're saying too much. You're doing too much. You're talking and talking and talking about things that you get back to focusing on the goal. What is the end game?" And 7 to 9 minutes would have been great for them. But do you compromise the connections with people? That was a little too many connections. But do you compromise that warm fuzzy VIP feel like we know you, welcome back? Like these are all these personalized things that maybe sometimes an AI doesn't do. We know it's efficient, we know that it's consistent, and we know that it's very professional, and we know that it feels really good to a customer to be moving along. Nobody's got time. But tell me, do you lose that customization?
Sure. Good question. So first of all, on the delay, it's due to lots of things, particularly the phone system, the greeting, and the
Uh,
integrations. But when someone calls, ring, ring, ring. Hi, thanks for calling blank, Chevrolet or whoever the
Mm-hmm.
dealership is. Press one
Mm-hmm.
for sale, two for
Mm-hmm.
service. So you're into an IVR phone tree system,
Right.
and then maybe you get to an AI platform, or you get to a person, or you get transferred, or you get put on hold, or you go to voicemail. But those are
Mhm.
typically part of the problem, major part. Number
Yeah.
two is integrations. So even with other AI platforms out there, they don't have the integrations particularly that we have, but that's neither here nor there. What we focus on though is the integration that provides a great guest experience. And
Right.
what that means is we have to have access to the DMS, the CRM, the scheduler in a
Hmm.
read write format, so we know all things about that caller the second they call.
Time
How,
out. Time out. I don't want to interrupt you too bad,
yeah.
but what do you mean by this exactly? Are you saying that now you're able to look at, okay, is there a current recall? Boom, I need to know this right away. Is there unused maintenance? Boom, I need to know that right away. Are you saying that they declined work last time? I might loop that into this conversation. What is this information that you're referencing, and how is this useful?
So in 1 second, the AI sees who's calling and knows exactly how to structure a conversation that's meaningful to Jen. We
Hmm.
know that she was here 3 months ago for an oil change. We know what car she drives. We know there's an open recall. We know
Hmm.
she declined
Right.
services last time. Or,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? We know that she's driving a car that's a hot trade in. We should ask if we should intercept her in the service lane and perhaps see if she's interested in receiving an offer for a vehicle.
Say
All of
what?
that it's like an all knowing assistant to help the dealership be more efficient, more profitable, and a better guest experience. So that's what we mean is
But how
knowing
does
where
that play out now? Because again, you're doing an under 2 minute call. This is badass. What you're saying right now, I just want to see it through. How does that influence the call? So it's pulling all this information, which I love because these are all the things that even the advisor misses. But if we could set up our shop, if hours properly from the jump, I really like where this might be headed. So, okay, everything that you just explained that you just found out about Jen, I just called in. How does that unfold?
okay, so once you called in, the AI understands your first question and knows the path you're probably most probabilistically
I
going
called for an
down.
oil change.
Right. So it knows you're probably going down that path. And then the AI knows if you're coming in for an oil change, it knows when you're coming in, and knows the vehicle, and he goes, oh, by the way, we know what you did or didn't do last time. So we can include that as an offer. Or there's an open recall.
Okay.
Could be a parts-based
Okay.
recall, could be non-parts-based recall. But there's things that we can offer to say, would you like the service advisor to run through that with you? And these are just
Okay.
nice little subtle ways that the guest goes, wow, this dealership knows me. I'm loyal to this dealership because they've taken the time to
Oh
know
yeah,
me.
it's money. I love this.
Yeah, and then now I'm going to stay loyal to you and keep coming back to you because
You
A, you're
know me.
and but B, you know me, right? That's what this is all about, is a better relationship.
Yeah.
And then what do we do with that information? We give
Mhm.
it to the service advisor and the service manager so that when you do come in physically and they greet you in the lane, it's a much more personable and
Oh,
personal relate
hell
conversation.
yeah, this is amazing. Okay, time out again. So, okay, what you're saying is that you're not actually looking for an approval here. You're just literally softly saying, "Hey, I noticed last time you were here that you got a tire quote. It might be something that you'd like your advisor to talk to you about on this next visit." Is that right?
Exactly right.
And it's like, "Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Rich,
So
you
we're
got something special."
Yeah, that's our goal. And again, it's from the guest perspective where
Yeah.
how can I have a better guest experience versus going to the dealership down the road or an independent repair facility? No. I'm always coming to this dealership because
Oh
they know me.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I don't know why I had to cut you from the beginning. Now I have to remember where you were headed on that. Do you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't
So
want you to lose that momentum. It was so
no,
good.
here's the key. This is why I always say this is a people-based business and always will be, because
Okay.
what we just did is we took the workload off the human. Let's think about it. Even us, and no human can possibly know every single customer in the DMS or CRM and know what they did or didn't do last time within a second when they call. So it's a great
Absolutely.
AI to be a tool to help the dealership, get them in. Then
Yeah.
part B, this is the most important part, is
Okay.
when the customer comes in the service lane.
Mhm.
Now the service advisor knows who's coming in that day. They know the full transcript, the
You set them
history.
up.
You set them up, and it's a quick AI summarized, short, brief
Oh yeah.
description of
Right.
Jen coming in. She wants
Yes.
an oil change. She has an open recall, and she said yes. She's interested in those tires that she
Is that
declined.
dropping on their service scheduler?
It's dropping straight into their scheduling appointment. Correct, in the scheduler. So
Okay. Okay.
when the
I love
appointment's
this.
set, all these details are in the notes and
Mhm.
part of the delivery, so that the service advisor is armed with information that's important to you, the guest, and they
Mhm.
can warmly greet them, human to human, face to face, do the walk
Mhm.
around, and
Mhm.
have a much better experience. And now the guest is like, wow, your AI listened to me, you listen to me, you're doing what I asked to be done, you're giving me
Yeah.
a fair, quote, and then I can sign off on the work.
Okay, so you think that this is why the call could be less than 2 minutes versus a 7 to 9, because it's I feel like it's leading the conversation with data that's pulled on this specific customer, and it's see, I think anytime that you lead a conversation, it's becoming more time efficient, versus allowing the customer to go wherever direction they want to go.
Exactly. And that's what we've seen in our data as well, is that where if it's free for all, is you're going to end up in free for all. But if you have a controlled path
Yes, that's it.
with tight integrations into the systems that can do something with that information, now you have gold in your hands. That's our mission, is to
Wonderful.
be able to marry that human experience with data to create actionable outcomes.
Yeah, this is really great to hear. I love this. Okay, so what percentage, and I'm not going to hold you to it because I'm really just throwing this at you, but I'm just curious, what percentage of people do you think prefer to talk to a human if given the choice?
So I saw a study 2 years ago, and that percentage was zero. And then the study a year ago was just over 31%,
Okay.
where they prefer speaking with AI.
Mhm.
This past summer, there was a study that was done. I could find the reference, but
Mhm.
it was just over 50% prefer speaking with an AI.
I
So
agree with that.
in 2 years, you went from 0 to 51%.
Mhm.
And this is across all demographics. The stunning demographic, though, that I thought for sure would be like the Gen Z or Gen Y or
Mhm.
millennials, maybe it's not. It's actually the older demographics prefer working with an AI because of the efficiency factor. And
Yeah,
and our data proves that too. That we see such a significant engagement rate with, well, across all demographics, but particularly in the millennial and Gen X and older, which is
yeah.
quite surprising. I thought they would be the other way around.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Well, to that point, I do hear this as well, but I also hear, and what I notice personally, this is a personal opinion, is that it depends on where I'm located in the country. That in certain states, the South, not Florida, but the South, I find that they don't seem as interested in using an AI as other states that I go into. Have you noticed a regional adoption?
We have. There's definitely even micro regional adoption within
Right.
certain markets around major metros. We've seen that as well, including particular setups. And one of the things that hits us, or we hear from our customers all the time, is that they want to be able to customize or configure what Stella says, and what the
Hmm.
and that's one area that we doubled down on, is
Okay.
massive configurability, because we want, again, a great guest experience. And if they don't want AI, we want to give them that quick path off to a human. But
Yeah.
we also want to handle overflow, nights, weekends, things like that, where the call never gets missed. That's the most
Mhm.
important part. Is we never send them to voicemail. We never send them into no one calls a dealership and says, "Oh, please send me to a text. I want to transfer to text." They will, no, I called because I want to solve the problem, or I want to address
Right.
this issue. So we try to build a very flexible platform where they can have their choice, and for how they speak, or if it's a
Mhm.
simple cute question on hours location, we can handle that. Or if it's something more advanced, like a complex service repair, we can handle that. But if they prefer human, we can route them off quickly.
Okay. So let's talk a little about some of the setbacks. And you just got me to thinking about, some of the things I had seen in the previous Stella, where sometimes we would see the appointments that were being booked like online, or not online, but through the AI, and they would dump into the service scheduler. And so many times I would find where they didn't get a text message. I'm trying to think back to, some of these big challenges that I would be up against, where it would be like, the text confirmation wouldn't go out, or all of them got set for 7 a.m. And just do you know what I'm talking about? Was
Oh,
this
sure
where?
do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I'm sure this became a common problem with dealers. So when you see things like this, prefer talking to a human, or I didn't get a text confirmation, I didn't get the address, blah, 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 or we had double bookings, you hear from the dealer, and they start throwing all these things at you. What have you heard from dealers about Stella, and how do you respond to those?
Sure.
those bumps in the road.
Yeah, sure. And well, I'll be the first to admit it's never been perfect, has not been perfect. What we're doing is breakthrough technology. It's brand new. It's very hard, very difficult.
Hmm.
But what we have done is we have been very diligent, and we grind through all of these use cases to make sure we find the right way to do it. But I'll be honest. A lot of these challenges were not due to the AI. They were due to very immature APIs that existed with the dealer systems. These AI, the schedulers, the CRMs, and the DMSs were never built to handle voice AI integration. So what
Got it.
we discovered, especially as early pioneers, OG in
Hmm.
the space, is that we had to actually help the dealer technology partners. You can imagine the names that are out there, build better APIs to handle voice API. That's what increased our speed, our latency, our use case, how many different things we can do in terms of
Mm.
scheduling appointment. These used to be very basic drop-down menus from the website, maybe through an online, engagement form. But now all of a sudden, you're dealing with a voice AI agent writing
Yeah.
to the same database. It's completely night and day. So that was one of the major changes. And I can tell you, our technology team ended up and is one of the best integration partners for these tech companies because we learned how to help them write better APIs.
Mm.
Integration. So that was a big part of it. But we don't shy away from the challenges early on. One thing we never double book. That's one thing that we built safeguards into. But I
Hmm.
do know the challenges of the speed bumps along the way. But most of the time, and this isn't a deflection because we'll own whatever's on our side, but most of the
Sure.
time we have to do those APIs.
I think it's
But
perfect.
for what it's worth, though, our technology, when we rebuilt it this year, we took all of that into account and made sure that, from a user standpoint, a dealer standpoint, that this is extremely fast, very efficient,
Mm.
very user friendly, to the point where our average CSI score that our customers on a scale of 1 to 10 used to be at 8.1, and now we're at 8.9 in
Yeah.
just a few months. And so the trend is we're going to be in the low nines before the end of the year. So on a scale of 1 to 10 on a CSI score, the guests that are interacting with Stella, very
Mhm.
happy.
Well, I'm thrilled to hear that. I can't begin to tell you because for me, I love consistency. And in dealerships, I've worked in them for long enough to tell you, oftentimes we just get a lot of inconsistencies, especially when it comes to, this isn't that complicated to schedule an appointment. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't need to be, or answer the phone or anything like this. But you're dealing with people, and I think we've got full plates. We've had all sorts of ups and downs in economic growth and adopting technology and dashboards and this and that. And anyways, we got to talk execution a little bit because what happens is dealerships will buy really cool tools like this, and of no fault of a company like yours, they'll think they could just set it and forget it, so to speak, or that nobody's really watching the process, but they're getting customer complaints or they're getting internal complaints. And sometimes people don't even know we have this tool. All sorts of things can happen. But when they sign up to do a voice AI, what would you say are top 3 things that these guys got to do internally to set it up properly? Just a few things. And when they start thinking about being more invested in the product, give me some expectations. I mean, hit me with it all, not just top 3, but I just feel like sometimes I'm preaching to dealers like, you need to get involved in this. You need to stick it through. You've got to work through and navigate the highs and the lows because this is new technology and you can't abandon this stuff. You have to work with these companies so that they can do better. And it's not always the tool, like you mentioned. Sometimes it's the other side of the integration, and could be, there's just a lot of pieces involved in this. School us, Rich.
Well, here you go. One of the top dealers, highest performing dealers in our world. We went and met with them in Texas. I won't say their name, but we asked him, what are you doing that's so successful? And he goes, real simple. I told my people. He goes, and he actually spoke about a good friend of mine, Jim Roche at WarCloud. He said, when we deployed WarCloud, he goes, you got to let WarCloud. And he goes, I told my people, let Stella. And
Mm.
so what does that mean? That means we're experts at how to help you deploy this technology. Listen to us. Let us show you how to do it. It's very simple, though. I think a dealer will have tremendous success if they just get 3 things right.
Mhm.
The greeting. It's just that simple. Get the
I love
greeting
it.
right. Number
Yeah.
2, get your employee roster correct and get their extensions. Those are the 3
Okay.
things because people's names change, their phone numbers change, and the greeting can change. But once you dial in those 3, we got it from there. And we can handle
Mhm.
everything. Trying to over manage this will cause over amount of problems. What you want to do is let this thing do what it does best and
Mm,
book maximum amount of appointments for you, because we know how to configure these systems that will work.
mhm,
And I know, but we also do it respectfully to honor the brand and that rooftop for how they want that business to be run. So we
mhm.
can take those, incorporate them into our best practices, and then deliver a great guest experience. And that's what I see great companies are doing out there. That's how we model our customer success. But then there's the key. The key is don't set it and forget it. You must maintain and look at the ROI data, look at the call data, look at what the AI is telling you. We record and transcribe and tag every single call. We can tell you, like, if you had more of this and less of that, and if you open up capacities, you'll get much more throughput. So all types of little tips and tricks of the trade that we meet with our customers every week, if
Mhm.
not every other week. But that's the key, is being able to show up, short little 15 to 30-minute meeting. That's all it takes. But you're going to get some incredible guidance on how to tweak your super employee, Stella, that's booking these appointments, handling customer calls, and engaging with customers by just always tuning the system to make sure it's doing what you want it to do, and it's got the up-to-date list of employees and extensions for who we need to transfer to. So those are like simple things. And a little
That's
bit
really
more advanced
simple.
side, there's opcode mapping and things that when we map what is an oil change equals a certain opcode in a particular system. Those need to be reviewed and monitored all the time. You'd be shocked at how many times the tech companies actually change opcodes without telling the
Okay.
dealer. And so the dealer's blind, we're trying to map to the opcode, and then the tech company changed the opcode system. So those need to be reviewed all the time as well.
Okay, so then who is looking out for that? And what do they do? Do they have to go into your backend tool and make changes? Do they have to contact their person with Stella? I mean, how does that work?
Well, one of two ways. One, the manual way, which is where the tech company will inform the dealer, dealer informs us. We'll be more than happy to go in and white glove service, take care of those changes, no problem. The
Okay.
second way is for an automated way, which with some tech companies that we have integrations with, we can see those changes directly. And with
Uh,
dealership approval, we'll make those opcode changes. We just have to be careful. Dealer, you should be careful. Make sure that we're mapping the opcodes to Express or Main Shop or Valet, whatever
right.
different department, because that impacts pay plans. So, but again, 15-minute meeting, simple decision, work is done, everyone's happy.
Okay, okay, I'm with you on that. Okay, well, I thought you were going to say something really crazy, but those are so simple. And if those are the big top three things, look
Yeah.
how easy it is to do this. You mentioned integration, and I know it's key. You know, it's key with the scheduler, with your tool, the DMS, the CRM, just the routing of the phone calls, the extensions, all of this stuff. So, how do you guys approach the integration challenge that so many people face? And is there stumbling blocks at trying to navigate even companies that are familiar with what you need to access, and maybe they've roadblocked you and you're trying to access more information to provide a best guest experience. So in terms of that integration and that functionality, how does this work? I mean, what's required? Like, does a
Okay.
dealer have to get involved, or how do you do this?
Yep. So good news is the dealer does not have to get involved. My recommendation to a dealer listening to this is make sure you choose an AI partner that's done the homework, done the real roll up the sleeves work, and have done the full integration, full certified integration. So why is that important? Because
Yeah.
some of these AI platforms are claiming they have integrations. I call it
Okay.
the
I've
wholesale
seen
integration.
this. Yes.
They're buying a very light version where it's a read-only access, and they promise the world on all these capabilities, features, and functionality capabilities that they cannot do because they do not have the integrations. And that's
Right.
where someone like Stella has a certified integration with every single major DMS, CRM, scheduler, and now CDPs, so that we can provide a phenomenal guest experience for
Mm,
your customer. But those integrations are key. And the second thing is you have to make sure the AI engine works seamlessly with these integrations.
mm,
And this is where OG status provides us that ability where we've seen it all, we've done it all, we've built it all, and we've have a system now that can handle any particular inbound customer request as well as now outbound. We'll talk about in a minute. That's so important though, because no matter why they're calling the dealership, you want to be able to handle their request very quickly, professionally, and efficiently.
ok, so I think we're all familiar with, like, OpenAI. We're probably using it, like, all day, every day.
Yeah,
You know, people love the GPT.
sure.
But I think that's so when a customer asks you questions, I mean, I'm guessing that you do have some sort of access to open AI in your tool?
Actually, no. We keep
No.
everything deterministic. So there's OpenAI out there which uses for common language and common language services, there's cognitive services. That's fine. We use some of that for background work, but everything that happens with our dealers is done inside our proprietary world, where we use language, but we also use
Hmm.
text translation, speech to text to speech, and then these cognitive services. But they all are then combined inside a secure, compliant, section of our database, our platform that allows us to interact with the dealership and the guest. So there is no hallucinations. There is no of that. There's no outside information being shared outside or coming in. We only use the language skills of these LLMs. And just to be a little bit more detailed, we actually bring that down a level to a small language model, which is only specific to automotive retail. And then we bring it down from there into our proprietary system we call Omega that
Hmm.
has all of the interactions and integrations with the dealer systems. So it's an extremely secure environment, number one. And number two, we don't take data and move it anywhere. We just read it. That's already sitting in your system. We read it and then we just populate and bring more guests into your system, and then we do everything through a compliant manner. And that's one of the things that we stand out on is again, data security, compliance. But these LLMs, they are moving
Hmm.
like the Open AIs and Chat GPTs and Gemini, you name them all, Claude. Phenomenal technology, and that's one of the nice things about Stella is we use best of breed of any one of those for our LLM, but then the things that we do down at the small language model or inside our proprietary platform, we keep that in house.
Well, I think for our listeners, I think this is important because there is a lot of AI out there, and I think it can get confusing even when you're not an expert at it. And since we have an expert on here today, it is nice to know because people love to hear when they think AI, they think, about some of the main tools. It used to be Alexa, but we've gotten rid of that now that we've got some AI. And I think it's important for our listeners when they're looking at products to know some of these core fundamentals and they see some of where this information that's being given to the customer is coming from. And what you're saying is that you've contained it in an area so it's not accessing, because I think in maybe the early phases where you guys, I think you were, because I remember some hallucinations and it used to be a big thing where the customer would not always be told the same thing. And when it accesses OpenAI for that content, and while it is really good, it can sometimes go rogue. But what you're saying is for our listeners that you guys have continued to develop your product and put all of your information sort of in its place, and so that you're accessing it keeps everything safe and secure, so that there's consistency in the outcomes of the information that's given to your customers, the dealer's customers. Right? Is that
That's
what you're
right.
saying?
Spot on.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what's
And
key.
there's
That's
a
what's
lot of
key.
strength in that, you guys. There's just a lot of strength in that.
That's right. I mean, this is where we're putting ourselves in your shoes as your listeners. If I'm running a dealership, what system do I want to work with?
You don't
Stella
want to
was
compromise the relationship.
right. We were designed, built, and frankly funded only by automotive dealers. We don't have
Yeah.
outside private equity, or we're not some app from California. We are like hardcore dealer. All
Mm.
people we hire either worked at dealerships or came from automotive tech. This is all we do, just automotive retail. And this is why we're so focused on
Yeah.
that dealership and guest relationship and making sure that the guests love interacting with Stella, have high CSI scores. The dealership employees really appreciate and respect Stella for helping to fill in the service appointment slots as well as booking test drives for new vehicles. That it's just a great helper to have on staff to help the overall dealership increase profitability and efficiency.
You have the full package, and I just love hearing about dealer invested. Some of my dealers invested in Stella early on, and it is nice because you always have this great sounding board of people that they know what's going on. They're in the stores every day, and imagine that even Stella team members have to be in the dealerships every day, and just seeing how to navigate the product and what customers' needs are, and everything always seems to be changing, and customers' expectations always seem to be raising the bar. When you're thinking ahead and you're thinking about the next big AI feature that dealers don't even know they should be planning for, but will care about in the next, let's say, 6 months, 12 months, maybe even 18, what would you say is on your radar?
Well, the things that we can say publicly is number one, dealers want less bills. They want a single throat to choke. They want to kill bills. They don't want to be managing so many technologies inside the dealership. I saw something the other day that was profound, where a typical dealership has over 65 different software systems to run a dealership.
Wow.
The
Yes.
last thing they want is yet another one in there. So the one thing that these really smart automotive retailers that are, investors and Stella have asked for is a
Mm.
single platform to handle all inbound and outbound customer communication, and
Mm.
that's what we built. So we have announced, and you'll see a lot more between now and NADA around Stella Catalyst, and this is a single platform designed and built to have profound customer communications outbound. So outbound AI phone calls, outbound AI text and email,
Okay.
with full legal compliance at the federal and state level, opt-in, double opt-in, you name it. But our mission is to make sure that we engage with guests that have been approved by the dealership and have opted in to be contacted in order to maintain that relationship. So from a simple example, which is like safety recall,
Mhm.
we can instantly make an outbound call, text, or email to every single one of your customers in your market that has that vehicle with an open recall, and then
Mhm.
schedule them in for an appointment.
Mhm.
That can happen right away. It's under the recall laws. And then the second one is OEM manifest lists. We do a lot of work with these. Customers that have not been in a long time, we can engage and ask them to come back to the dealership for sales or service. But one thing, with the proper compliance, you can go down the promotional path and marketing path, but we really want to focus on the things that are core to the dealership. But now you
Mhm.
have outbound communications, inbound communications. You can see customer ID. You can marry things like attribution earlier than any
Mhm.
other company can see. So now something happened in your marketing campaign or in your outbound in customer engagement, and now you can see when they called, when they responded via text, when they came into the dealership, and so you can see what's working, what's not, and make more near real time adjustments to get better results. And so that's is happening now.
Really neat.
Um, yeah, and then I think you're going to see down the road a little bit longer term things where the AI now is just learning so much information about your dealership and about your customers and other customers that are in that local market, that will be able to start making recommendations to the dealer for how they can, what they should do and how they should do it. And then with the dealer management approval, the AI can just go make it happen. And so you'll be learning more about that over the next coming months. But we're really, really excited about what's in our development labs and what we're seeing in terms of early results. So it's going to be an exciting 12 months.
It sounds like a knockout. So it's outbound for fixed, coupled with the texting and emailing. It's a combo.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all with one vendor. And the best part is one performance management, report, if you want to call it that. But what's
Mhm.
nice is we can pump this information into an existing dashboard, that they don't have to open up another screen. So this information can flow through existing dealer management systems nice and easily. If they want to come out to our NCR portal, and they certainly can. But this is what's nice about this is the ROI values there, and you see the data flowing right into existing systems.
Yeah, it's wonderful because nobody really wants another login.
No, no more logins, not another screen. Let's get this integrated because that's what we do, and put
Yeah.
it right in the systems where they need to see it.
Well, what's nice to hear too is I think you've really pressed some of the DMS companies to be open minded to making changes themselves so that you could be able to expand the product offerings and be able to provide truly a 360 experience for that customer of the dealerships.
That's right. And that, if you're a guest working with a dealership, now you're used to interacting with Stella, and you know that she's quickly and effectively accomplished what you wanted when you called. And now when she's calling you or contacting you, you've
Mhm.
got an outstanding employee that's going to get the job done quickly.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's always been the challenge is sometimes there's inconsistencies. And so my last question to you is if you're advising fixed ops, maybe a general manager, maybe an executive who's skeptical, and there is still quite a lot of skepticism when it comes to voice AI or AI for that matter. What would you say are some of the big myths out there that you guys are trying to bust all the time? You
Sure.
want to get them to stop believing believing or in these myths, and really take action on pushing back from them, coming with an open mind, and seeing really how it does work.
Sure. So, all right. Myth number one is that the voice AI is not controllable. Um, False. We built a platform that is absolutely controllable. Not just controllable, it's very safe and compliant, but it's also very configurable. And we can take our best practices and show you for the brand or brands that you have, the local markets that you're in.
Hmm.
We can show you peer group data that shows here's their before and after. This is what
Okay.
happened before. This is what happened after. This is the lift that they've seen in number of appointments, number of ROs, and number of customer retention for repeat
Makes
service
sense.
appointments. So that's number one. Two is the concept that guests don't want AI, and we touched on
Right.
that a little bit earlier. And this isn't about dealerships. I think this is a society question where now across the board you're just seeing digital assistants from everywhere, from
Yeah.
scheduling a dentist appointment, ordering a pizza, and now booking a service appointment, an oil change. It's just almost the norm. And what you see
Mm.
is you see good systems and bad systems. I would argue we're the best. So I would say that with our integrations, you've got a very strong one here, and that the results speak for themselves around whether or not guests want to work with an AI. It's the society thing, and now we're over 50% in these
Yeah.
studies confirming that they would prefer it. Um,
Feeling
I
that.
guess the third one, I've heard that some fixed ops managers think, okay, what will the AI cause more harm than good? And I would say that's not true, because what we
They
are is
do say that.
yeah, we're the ultimate helper. And some of our largest dealer groups are they're literally the best operators in the country. They know better than anyone how to run a great fixed ops department, and they've actually adopted AI to become a huge asset within their machine.
Mm.
And again, we are not replacing people, we enable people. And so what they're seeing is the throughput of number of appointments coming in, the capacities that they have. They're now tuning their fixed ops settings to be able to accommodate more appointments and more throughput. And their people are happier because they're not swamped with answering the phone or dealing with constant customer interaction, inbound, outbound. They're now
Mm.
focused on guests in the service lane. And
Yes,
so I
that's
think
the
that
idea.
combination, it's simple concept, but
Yeah.
the most valuable asset any of us have is time. And being able to give time to a service advisor is huge. And being
Yeah.
able to give time back to a guest who's trying to book an oil change is huge. Or getting ahead of things where we can say, hey, you're coming up on your 15K maintenance. I want to get you that scheduled. Just, oh
Yeah.
yeah, just a simple reminder like that is powerful in these dealers being able to extend by basically a few basis points. But once you start to see significant growth, this is starting to add up to real money.
Oh yeah. No, I'm really glad you pinpointed some of those key things. In fact, I'll have to have you on again because I think we could do a whole episode on AI myths. Because I hear so many when I'm in the stores, and I see so many different products now that have come on the market, and it's interesting to see like how people react to them. And I want everybody to get on board because I truly see the benefits. I work in high performing stores, like you mentioned, and the data just tells the whole story. Well, thank you so much, Rich, for taking your time and sharing some of the real raw truths about voice AI in the dealerships today. It's the good, there is some bad. Hey, it's where it's going. That's what's real. It's where it's going. That's what we have to keep talking about. And to the listeners, if you're leading, you're managing a service department, BDC, you got to pick something from today's episode. You really have to think about one thing that you heard in this conversation, and maybe it's just how you integrate voice AI into your business and giving it a chance and seeing what it can do for your teams. But one thing I know is you got to roll it out with everybody on board.
Right.
Yeah, such forward thinking thoughts today and insights and your perspective. And I just really can't wait to see what you guys continue to unleash. I've really enjoyed following the journey of Stella, and thank you so much for everything that you do. People think this is easy. There's nothing easy about doing something so groundbreaking.
So true, and I want to give compliments to my team. They're the ones that make it happen. It's a people business on our side too. I mean,
Yeah.
These are very hardworking individuals that are passionate about the automotive retail industry, and they want to do everything they can to bring a breakthrough technology to their dealer friends and people we've worked with our whole careers. So, we are very grounded in who we are and our mission in life. And if we
Mm,
can help a dealership employee, if we can help a guest have a better experience, that's why we're here, and that's why we do what we do. And we're just thrilled to be part of this. We're thrilled to lead the market. And Jen, I gotta say again, thank you so much for all you do for this
mm,
industry. It does not go unnoticed. I mean, everyone talks
thank
about
you.
you, and the speakers and the content you put on your show are just spot on and very timely. So thank you for all you do.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, for anybody that's listening, you will know somebody that needs to listen to this episode. Send it their way, pass it on. Stay curious, keep driving those operations. Thank you guys so much for joining today. Thanks everyone for listening to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. Don't forget, my weekly live classes are designed to keep your team fired up, skilled up, and focused on results. Subscribe right now at edealersolutions.com.